Picture this. You walk into Best Buy or Costco, and there's a wall of TVs blasting color and light at full intensity. One screen in particular stops you, super bright, ultra vivid, colors that seem to jump right off the screen. The salesperson mentions it's on sale, today only, and suddenly the decision feels easy. But here's the problem. That TV is not showing you how it will actually look in your living room. Retail TVs are almost always running in demo mode, brightness and color cranked far beyond any normal home setting. The image looks incredible under those store lights. Then you get it home, sit down for an evening movie, and something feels off. The picture is harsh. The whites are blinding. After an hour, your eyes feel tired in a way you can't quite explain, and you find yourself turning the brightness down over and over, and still not getting comfortable. And that's before we talk about the other problem. Many major retailers carry exclusive model numbers that look identical to premium versions but have been quietly modified, local dimming removed, motion processing cut, panel quality reduced, specifically to hit a lower price point. The box doesn't tell you that. The salesperson often doesn't know it either. For most people, this is annoying. For viewers over 60, it's a real problem. As we get older, our eyes become more sensitive to flickering light, uneven brightness, and harsh contrast. What a 30-year-old barely notices, a 65-year-old feels after 20 minutes. Eye fatigue becomes headaches. Headaches become a habit of just not watching TV as much, because it doesn't feel good anymore. And the frustrating part is that it's almost never the viewer's fault. It's the TV. Today we're ranking 12 of the most common TVs you'll find at major retailers, from the worst offenders for eye strain all the way to the ones genuinely designed to be easy on your eyes over long viewing sessions. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which TVs to avoid and which ones are worth your money and your comfort. Let's start at the bottom. Number 12. Samsung DU7200 and DU8000. You'll see these everywhere. Heavily promoted, reasonably priced, and under store lighting, they look genuinely impressive. But for viewers over 60, these are some of the most fatiguing TVs to watch for any extended period, and the reasons can't be calibrated away. There is no local dimming on either model. The backlight operates as a single unit, getting brighter or dimmer all at once. When you're watching a dark scene with a bright object, the whole screen adjusts together, which means your eyes are constantly being asked to readjust too. Over an hour or two, that constant micro-adjustment is exhausting in a way that's hard to identify but impossible to ignore. Peak brightness is low enough that many owners instinctively crank the backlight higher to compensate, which adds exactly the kind of flat, harsh light output that drives eye strain. Motion handling is weak, producing visible judder during slow panning shots common in documentaries and dramas. And Samsung's Tizen platform on these entry models comes loaded with ads and promoted content that makes the everyday experience more stressful than it needs to be. The verdict? Looks bright under store lights, feels harsh in your living room. Start your search elsewhere. And somehow, it's not even the most misleading budget option on this list. Number 11. LG UT75 and UT80. LG makes excellent televisions. These are not among them, at least not for viewers who care about long session comfort. The core issue is the panel type. Both models use IPS panels, known for wide viewing angles, but carrying a significant trade-off, noticeably gray blacks rather than true dark tones. When a scene is supposed to be dark, the LG UT series shows it as a washed-out gray instead. The eye reads this as an inconsistency between what it expects and what it sees, and over time that mismatch creates a fatigue that's hard to attribute directly to the TV, but very real in terms of how you feel afterward. There's no meaningful dimming either, so light output is constant regardless of what's on screen. Combined with WebOS on these entry models pushing recommendations and promoted content aggressively, the overall experience is fine for casual use and genuinely tiring for anything longer. The verdict? Comfortable at first glance, exhausting after an hour. Not the LG you want. Now let's move to a brand that almost gets it right, but not quite. Number 10. Hisense, a 6 and a 7 series. For many buyers, the A6 and A7 represent exactly the kind of deal they're looking for. Reasonable picture quality at a price that doesn't require a major commitment. But for viewers over 60 specifically, the inconsistency in this lineup is a real concern. The backlighting is basic, producing unstable brightness across different content types. Bright scenes can look fine. Dark or mixed scenes feel uneven in ways subtle enough to ignore in a store, but noticeable after an hour at home. Motion handling is unpredictable enough that sports and nature programming can feel slightly off without being obviously wrong. And quality control varies enough that two people can buy the same model and have completely different experiences over time. For a primary TV used regularly for long sessions, that unpredictability is a problem. You shouldn't have to wonder whether your TV is one of the good ones. The verdict? Cheap upfront, costly in comfort. Better options exist at a similar price. Stepping up slightly, but still not safe. Number 9. Insignia F30 and F50 Fire TV. Insignia's Fire TV models have a lot going for them on paper. Built-in Amazon Fire TV, reasonable prices, impressive screen sizes for the cost. The problem is that this TV was built to a price, and everything about the viewing experience reflects that priority. Brightness control precision is very limited. The TV doesn't have fine enough control over its own light output to maintain a consistent, comfortable image, and that lack of precision is exactly what drives the kind of low-level eye fatigue that builds up over an extended session without you being able to identify why you feel tired. The Fire TV platform on these models is slow and carries a significant advertising load. The home screen is structured around promoted content rather than your preferences, which means navigating through commercial noise every time you sit down to watch something. Upscaling is weak, which matters for viewers whose cable or DVD content isn't natively in high resolution. The verdict? Fine for a guest room. Not the right choice for your main TV and serious viewing time. Now we're entering the mixed bag territory. Number 8. Vizio V-Series and VQ Series. The hardware inside the V-Series and VQ Series is genuinely more capable than everything ranked below it. There is some local dimming on certain models in this range, which is a meaningful step forward for contrast control and brightness stability. The problem is execution. The dimming implementation is poorly tuned. Instead of smoothly adjusting brightness across zones, it can produce visible blooming where bright objects in dark scenes glow with a halo of light, or overcorrect the opposite direction and make scenes look unnaturally flat and dark. Firmware bugs have historically been a real issue on Vizio sets, where performance acceptable at purchase can change after a software update. Soundcast remains clunky. For viewers over 60 who want a TV that works consistently without ongoing troubleshooting, that unpredictability is a significant drawback. The verdict? Capable hardware, unreliable experience. Good when it works, frustrating when it doesn't. This next one is where things start getting genuinely interesting. Number 7. Hisense U6K and U6N. This is the first model on this list where the technology inside the TV starts to meaningfully address the core issues driving eye strain. Both the U6K and U6N use mini LED backlighting, a significant step forward from the basic LED systems in everything ranked below. Mini LED uses a much larger number of smaller light zones, giving the TV far more precise control over brightness across different parts of the image. Dark areas can stay dark, while bright areas are handled independently. That kind of control directly reduces the constant brightness fluctuation that drives fatigue. The contrast improvement is real and visible. These sets produce a noticeably more stable image than the Hisense A series. And for viewers who spend serious time with drama or documentary content, that stability matters. But execution still has rough edges. Brightness can spike unpredictably on high-motion content. Motion handling, while improved, remains slightly inconsistent. Firmware updates arrive slowly and don't always fully resolve the underlying issues. The verdict? Impressive specs, uneven experience. Better than anything below it, not quite where it needs to be for long-term comfort. If this has already saved you from a bad TV purchase deal, hit subscribe. The next 6 might shock you. Number 6, TCL Q5 and Q6. TCL's Q series uses QLED technology, quantum dots that produce more accurate, more stable color than standard LED displays. For viewers concerned about eye strain, better color accuracy matters directly, because a TV that doesn't have to push harsh, oversaturated color to look vivid is easier on the eyes over time. The Q5 and Q6 deliver on that promise moderately. The color is better than basic LED competitors. The image has more stability and more natural tone than the budget options. For casual viewing, these are decent televisions. The limitations are local dimming that's limited in zone count and precision, and factory settings that run brighter than is comfortable for extended viewing. The fix is straightforward. 15 minutes in the picture settings menu makes a real difference, but it requires knowing to do it. The verdict? Good once you fix it. A solid mid-range option for the buyer willing to make a few adjustments. Now we're getting into genuinely good territory. Number 5, Sony X80L. The Sony X80L is the first TV on this list that approaches eye comfort as a design consideration rather than an afterthought. And the difference is noticeable from the first session. Sony's motion processing here is excellent, significantly better than anything discussed so far. For viewers over 60 who watch cable news, sports, nature documentaries, or traditional broadcast content, smooth and accurate motion is one of the most important factors in viewing comfort. Judder and motion artifacts are a primary driver of eye strain, and the X80L handles them effectively. The color science is notably natural. Sony calibrates these panels toward accurate, organic tones, rather than the vivid, pumped-up saturation that budget TVs use to get attention in a store. A more natural image means your eyes aren't constantly processing over-corrected color, and that reduces the low-level strain that builds over a long session. The honest limitation is contrast. No local dimming means blacks aren't as deep as they could be, and scenes with significant variation between bright and dark areas lack the controlled stability that dimming provides. The verdict? Safe, natural, and easy to watch. Not the deepest image on this list, but one of the most consistently comfortable ones. This next one pushes brightness much further. Number 4, TCL Q7, Q750 series. The TCL Q7 is where value and genuine performance start to overlap in a way that makes a real difference for eye comfort, and it gets there through one significant advantage: strong local dimming. The dimming implementation here is meaningfully better than anything TCL offers below it. More zones, more precise control, and the result is a TV that can maintain genuine dark tones in shadowed areas while handling bright highlights independently. That combination, dark blacks, and controlled highlights without the whole screen shifting to compensate, is exactly what produces a stable, relaxed image that doesn't exhaust the viewer over time. High brightness capability is also a genuine strength for daytime viewing in rooms with natural light. The TV can stay clearly visible and comfortable, even with the blinds open, which is a practical advantage for everyday watching conditions. The caveat is that out of the box, the Q7 runs aggressively bright, the kind of factory default that impresses in a store and overwhelms at home. A basic pass through the picture settings resolves it, and once adjusted, this TV's genuine strengths come through clearly. The verdict? Powerful hardware that needs taming. Once you do, it's one of the better options on this list. Now we're entering the top tier, and the pace changes here because these last three deserve real attention. Number 3, Samsung QN90C and QN90D. This is the first Samsung on this list that earns a genuinely strong position, and it does so by directly solving the problems that make the brand's lower-tier sets so difficult to watch comfortably. The QN90C and QN90D use Samsung's Mini LED technology with a substantially more refined dimming implementation than anything in the budget Samsung range. Brightness control is precise enough to manage complex scenes, bright windows in a dark room, sunlit exteriors next to shadowed interiors, without the whole image shifting uncomfortably to compensate. The anti-glare coating on both models is among the best at this price tier. For viewers who watch in rooms with windows or overhead lighting, glare is one of the most direct drivers of eye strain. Your eyes are constantly trying to see through the reflection on the screen's surface. The QN90 series handles this better than most competitors, making daytime viewing substantially more relaxed. Motion is smooth and consistent. The anti-reflection and brightness precision work together in a way that makes these TVs genuinely comfortable in the kinds of conditions most people actually watch in. Bright living rooms in the afternoon. Everyday environments far more common than the ideal dark room setup. The verdict? One of the easiest TVs to watch in a bright space. A well-engineered answer to the real viewing conditions most people live in. Number 2, LG C3 and C4 OLED. Everything changes at this point in the list because the LG C3 and C4 don't just improve on the problems driving eye strain. They eliminate the source of some of those problems entirely. The fundamental difference is the panel technology. OLED TVs don't use a backlight at all. Each individual pixel generates its own light and can turn completely off independently. No backlight to flicker, no uniform light source washing across the whole screen, no blooming or haloing around bright objects in dark scenes. Contrast is controlled at the pixel level, producing an image that is inherently more stable, more precise, and more visually natural than anything a backlit display can achieve. For viewers over 60, the practical result is significant. The absence of backlight flicker removes one of the most common low-level contributors to eye fatigue. Pixel-level dimming produces blacks that are genuinely dark, which means your eyes aren't straining to perceive contrast the TV isn't delivering. Brightness is smooth and consistent, without the sudden spikes or shifts that characterize less capable displays. Owners of LG OLED sets describe the experience in a specific way. The image feels softer, more natural, less like looking at a bright electronic display, and more like something that simply exists in the room with them. That quality is hard to quantify, but easy to feel after an extended session where your eyes don't hurt and your head doesn't ache. The verdict? Like switching from a harsh overhead bulb to soft, natural light. The technology solves problems at a foundational level that no amount of calibration can replicate on a backlit display. Number 1, Sony X90L. The Sony X90L is the most balanced, eye-friendly television on this entire list, and it earns that position not through any single exceptional feature, but through multiple things done right simultaneously, which is genuinely rarer than it sounds. Full-array local dimming is well implemented and carefully tuned. The TV divides the backlight into independent zones and manages them with the kind of precision that produces stable, consistent brightness across complex scenes. Bright highlights are handled without washing out shadow areas. Dark scenes stay genuinely dark. The result is an image the eye can rest in rather than continuously scan. For inconsistencies, Sony's motion processing at this tier is the best available outside of OLED. Pan shots are smooth. Fast movement is tracked accurately. The judder that makes sports, nature content, and traditional broadcast television uncomfortable to watch for extended periods is effectively eliminated. For viewers over 60 whose primary content includes exactly these types of programming, that motion quality is one of the most practically important things about this television. The color is tonally natural. Sony has consistently prioritized accurate, lifelike color reproduction over the vivid, high-saturation defaults that make TVs look striking in a store and tiring at home. Natural tone mapping means the TV shows you what the content actually looks like, and that is consistently easier to watch over long periods. Upscaling is excellent. For viewers watching cable, older streaming content, or DVDs, the X90L's ability to intelligently improve lower-resolution material means even non-premium content looks clean and comfortable rather than soft and pixelated. Owner feedback on this model is the most consistently positive of any TV on this list. The phrase that comes up over and over again is easy to watch for hours. Not exciting, not flashy, easy, comfortable, natural. For viewers over 60 who want to enjoy their television without paying for it later in eye fatigue and headaches, that consistency is the whole point. The verdict? The safest, most comfortable, most thoughtfully engineered TV for long-term viewing on this entire list. Everything works together the way it's supposed to. Here's the reality most people never get told before they spend their money. Most TVs fall into three clear categories when it comes to how they treat the person sitting in front of them. At the bottom, you've got the traps. TVs that look spectacular under retail lighting, carry familiar brand names, and hit price points that feel like reasonable compromises, but use unstable brightness, weak motion handling, and panel technology designed to move units off a shelf rather than provide a comfortable viewing experience. For viewers over 60, these TVs don't just disappoint. They actively make watching television less enjoyable over time. In the middle, there are genuinely capable options with hardware that can produce a comfortable image, but they need calibration and adjustment to get there. The problem is, most buyers never go through that process, and out of the box, these sets can feel just as harsh as the ones below them. At the top, there are the true winners. Televisions where stable brightness, natural color, precise contrast control, and smooth motion handling were actual engineering priorities, not afterthoughts. For viewers over 60, these aren't just better TVs. They're TVs that make watching television feel like the relaxing experience it's supposed to be. Because here's what matters most. Two TVs can sit side by side on the same shelf, carry similar price tags, and look nearly identical in the store. And after 2 hours in your living room, one has you reaching for eye drops, and the other has you still comfortable, still relaxed, not thinking about your eyes at all. That difference is real. It's measurable. And now you know exactly where each of these 12 TVs falls. If you're considering a specific model that didn't make this list, drop it in the comments. I'll tell you straight up whether it's a safe buy or something to avoid. And if this saved you from a purchase you would have regretted, subscribe. Because your eyes are worth protecting.